And a very warm welcome, everybody. Bruce here from rootsoflife.org. In this video, I want to dive into a dualistic practice, or the recognition of a dualistic practice, rather, within our Reiki practice and our self-healing practice. And from the start, the way that I'm going to frame that is from the entrapment of belief or the surrendering of the mind. And if you've taken a moment and looked at a lot of my videos here on my YouTube channel, you can see that this is a reoccurring theme, because it's something that I think not only do we need to constantly practice to surrender, it's literally a constant practice, but it's also my hope that these videos will help others recognize this practice of surrendering in their own Reiki practice, be that with clients or with yourself. And the way that I'll frame this self-healing here today is from the aspect of belief, which I'm going to frame under the word of doing, or the aspect of surrendering, which is going to be framed under the idea or understanding of being. Okay? So we've got doing versus being. Now, doing automatically implies that I'm actively engaged in something, right? It means that my mind is active. It means that I have a belief. Far too often, the way that Reiki is taught is that I'm the teacher and I'm going to teach you the symbols, right? In Usui Reiki Roho or whatever it is, Tibetan Reiki or Holy Fire or Karuna, it doesn't matter. There's so many different lineages, there's so many different symbols. All of those are taught from the practice of doing. And again, be introspective, reflect back on your own training. I'm sure most of you were told to put the symbol over somebody else, to invoke a symbol to do something else. But at some point, we have to recognize that this doesn't make any sense. If I was to use Chokure, for instance, or Zonar, or Raku, there's so many different symbols from so many different lineages there. If I invoke those symbols, then that means that I'm actively doing something. It means that I have a belief, that I have a power to do something. Like Raku, for instance, which is a Tibetan symbol, which is to cut. And you can find that as well in the symbol of Seihiki at the very top left of the symbol. We utilize that to cut attachments to energy. But according to who? Energy of Reiki is universal energy. It is literally the energy of all things. So how can we cut that? If it's the energy of me and the air and the client and my shoes and the trees and the bugs and the suffering and the belief and the angels and everything in the universe, then how can I cut that? If I cut that energy, I would die. I would be out of the flow of the energy of the universe. See, it doesn't make any sense. And I think that's a very critical question that I would encourage all of you to ask about any symbol. If we evoke it from the perspective of, I'm going to do this thing, then we're automatically going against the precepts and we're automatically going against the understanding of the word Reiki. So for this video, I'm not going to get into then how do we utilize the symbols, because the symbols are very beautiful. Suffice it to say, I'm only going to dive into it like this. The symbols are inward. They're an internal practice, not an external practice. You see, if I put a symbol on somebody else, then I'm making a belief about them. You are on your own healing journey, just like everybody else on the planet. I can't influence that, just like you can't influence my healing journey, because I have to do the healing, right? And so I can't put a symbol over somebody because A, that's not effective, and B, I'm making a belief or a presumption about what they need on their own journey. But all of that is framed within the energy of Reiki in the universe. So we're automatically getting onto this treadmill, this hamster wheel, as it were, of belief and delusion, right? And doing, right? And being present with the mind. Well, what if we were, instead of doing, we were simply just being? We would simply surrender into the practice of Reiki and let go of belief and let go of the mind. Well, then where are we, right? If we let go of all these things, then hopefully we can just feel the flow of energy through the body. we can surrender and float with it. And we can start to feel that suffering and our illness and our belief are all framed from attachment, right? If we can let go of attachment, then we can finally start to heal ourselves. And so let's put that into practice. I'm standing here, but if you are seated, just get into a nice, comfortable seated position. If you're lying down, just make sure that you are in a comfortable savasana, corpse pose, lying on a yoga mat, or whatever's comfortable for you. And for me standing, I'm just going to bend a little micro bend in my knees just to give a little bit of comfort. Bring my awareness down into my feet. Feeling really strong and stable as I stand. Again, if you're seated, allow the spine to be vertical, the feet firmly planted on the ground. And we're going to bring our hands into Gassho, to prayer at heart center. Now bring all of your awareness between your hands and breathe through the nose. You might feel some tingling, some heat, some pressure. If this is difficult for you, just bring your awareness to the sensation of the fingertips touching. Notice how the mind begins to quiet. And now with that sensation in the hands, we simply bring it onto the body. Quiet mind. And as we practice this, I would like to remind everybody, or I would encourage you rather, to think back when you were a kid, before you knew about Reiki, before you knew about angels or crystals or bubbles of protection or light or belief or story or narrative, before you knew about any of those things, when you were just on the playground and you fell down and maybe scraped your knee, what did you do? You most likely brought your hands down to the knee, placed them over the knee, and just breathe. Breathe and let go, letting go of the pain, letting it flow through the body. We all know this. We've always been doing it. But somewhere along the line, we stopped being and we started doing. And so as we hold the body in whatever hand placement you wish, I'm just, for the sake of this video, my hands are on the heart. But if you have a pain or a sensation anywhere in the body, simply place your hands over that part of the body. And once you do this, let go. Let go of the idea that you need help, that you need angels or crystals or light or protection or anything. Let go. If you can let go, then at some point, and most likely very quickly, you'll begin to wonder what it was that you were holding on to. Because the pain is gone. The sensation is gone. The belief or the narrative or the trauma starts to dissipate. These are the guiding precepts of Reiki in action. Is there a pain? That's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to get angry about it. I'm going to be kind to myself. I'm going to be grateful for this opportunity to provide myself with Reiki. And I'm going to do this Reiki practice honestly, which means letting go. Letting go into the universal energy, that which we call Reiki. Once we let go, then we float and move with our sensation. No need for lineage or different lines of thought in Reiki, different schools, different teachers, all of these things we have to let go. And finally, when you let go of that rope, the healing begins. The trauma releases, the mind stills, and the body quiets. And we start to find that simplicity of being. And perhaps we can finally see the resistance in doing. Now, you can easily practice this as long as you wish. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, every day, hopefully. We need to practice this over and over and over and over again, because as soon as we're out of the practice, we start to return to the world of doing, and we start to move away potentially from the world of being. Now, I know that I've framed the Reiki experience and Reiki practice here in relatively, or perhaps seemingly, simplistic terms. This is what I teach. It's what I teach my students. It's what I teach my clients. It's what's been taught to me. The simplicity of Reiki as a practice of surrendering. Not one that is delusioned with belief or attachment, but rather one that is a constant practice of turning inward. And we might not know where that inward path begins. We might not even be able to see it. We might not even be able to recognize it, right? Those are the things that I teach, just as they've been taught to me. Go inward, and your path towards being will start to unfold. And pretty quickly, you'll recognize that you're leaving the world of doing behind and all of the baggage that's attached to the world of doing.